If there's one thing that'll get me out of my quasi-sabbatical, it's vampires, especially black, brown, and queer vampires. Hey guys, I'm back. And welcome to my safe haven, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining me and clicking on another video here on the Black Gay Comic Geek channel. It's been a while since I've actually made a video. I think it's been a little bit over a month. I don't even remember if I still know how to do this. And part of the reason I haven't made a video pretty much in the last month is really because my entire waking hour when I am not working has been doing nothing but playing Baldur's Gate 3. Like, I have been obsessed with that game. Even now, as I'm talking, I'm thinking about wanting to go and play Baldur's Gate 3. So that's all I've been doing pretty much. So I haven't made any videos. I barely made content anywhere else. But I'm just like, you know what? I need to jump back out there, especially now that there's more content coming out. It's spooky season and a bunch of stuff is about to come out. So I'm just like, you know what? I need to get back out there. So with that said, we are here to talk about Castlevania Nocturne, the sequel to the incredible first season of Castlevania on Netflix. But let me introduce myself. If this is your first time coming across one of my videos, my name is Michael. I call myself the Black Gay Comic Geek. And I always say the things that I love to talk about on my channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the four. So I like to talk superheroes, video games, comic books, action movies, sci-fi, horror, etc., etc. And of course, I like to talk about black representation and queer representation. So if that's something that you're interested in, hit that like button and that subscribe button. Become one of my safe haven. But with that said, let us talk non-spoilers for Castlevania Nocturne. The synopsis for Castlevania Nocturne is taking place a couple hundred years after the first Castlevania series. As revolution sweeps France, Richter Belmont fights to uphold his family's legacy and prevent the rise of a ruthless, power-hungry vampire ruler. And this show came out last week, actually a day after my birthday. My birthday was September 27th. Happy birthday to me. I just turned 38. And this show came out on September 28th. And funny enough, I'm talking about not doing anything. I had the screener for this pretty much in the beginning of September, but I did not watch it until it actually came out because, again, I've been doing nothing but playing Baldur's Gate 3. So if you haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 and you are a gamer, I definitely recommend it. I still haven't beaten it yet. Like, I'm still in the midst of playing it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Baldur's Gate. We're here to talk about Castlevania. And I'm here to report that Castlevania Nocturne is incredible. I absolutely loved this new season. It is damn near almost as perfect as the first season. I won't say it is as good as the first season, but it's pretty much right up there. And like, when you start out in the first episode, like, the first 5 minutes of the episode, you're just like, oh my God, I am in. And like, a lot of that comes from not even just the way the animation style looks. Like, if you watched the first Castlevania movie, you know, or series, you know that the animation style and the quality of the animation is top tier. And they did not skimp on the budget for this season. The animation style is top tier. And then not only just that, but like the fighting and the way the characters move, it is so fluid, and like the frames per second and the way they move, like, it looks incredible. And you see that in like the first 5 minutes of the episode and the way the fighting looks. And you're just like, oh my God, like, you're just salivating with the way this show looks. So definitely shout out to the animation studio, Powerhouse Animation Studios, because they did their thing. You know how Angela Bassett did the thing? Powerhouse Animation Studios did the thing with this show. And the thing that makes this show different and, in my opinion, better than the first Castlevania season, because my motto is always make it blacker, make it gayer. And that's exactly what they did with this season. It is definitely blacker. It is definitely gayer. Now, of course, you know, I'm never satisfied. It's not gay enough for me, but there was still an attempt and there's still some authenticity played to it. And like, not even just in the fact that they made it blacker and gayer, but like, the black and brown characters aren't just there as props for the white characters. And that's something that a lot of shows, movies, and things like that will do. With like, they'll have black and brown characters, but they don't really get any level of nuance or any care or really play a prominent role in the storyline. But no, the black and brown characters in Castlevania Nocturne, they push a lot of the story. Without them, the story wouldn't be able to progress. And one of my favorite characters that they introduced in this season is the character of Annette. Like, you know that Megan Thee Stallion stuff? I'm her. Like, that is Annette. Like, she is the moment. I absolutely loved her character in this season of Castlevania. And then not only that, but like, they didn't just introduce this black character and then she was just there, but we got a lot of rich lore and legacy and historical references. They did a great job of interweaving real life, narratives within this story in terms of like talking about the Haitian rebellion in Saint-Domingue during slavery times, interweaving the slavery narrative and vampires within the lore of this story. And you could clearly tell they did their research, and you definitely feel like there's definitely some black and brown writers behind the scenes in this show. And you could feel the love and care and authenticity with regard to like, they introduced African lore and mythology in this season. And there's an Aztec native vampire in this show. Like, just the lore and it's incredible. I love this season. And also a thing that I think the show did really well in is with the Castlevania lore, it's always been about the Belmonts, the legacy of the Belmonts, the vampire hunters. So obviously you have Richter Belmont being the center of the story, the main protagonist, but the show also knew when to put him aside and focus on the other characters and not have it just be about Richter Belmont. And I think they did a great job with that because honestly, out of all the characters, I would say Richter Belmont is the one I cared about the least. Now, granted, that doesn't mean I didn't care about his character, but he's the one I cared about the least. Like, I cared about not just Annette, but Olrox, even Maria Reynard. Like, when you jump to like the last episode and that major fight between Maria, Doltrox, Elizabeth Bathory, like, the fight scenes in this show were incredible. And then especially once you jump to like episode 4, like episode 4 and the last episode were probably my favorite episodes of the whole season. But with that said, like, there is not a single episode. I said not. There's not a single episode in this season that's like slow and dry. And honestly, I feel like Marvel could take a playbook from Castlevania with regards to, because this season and these episodes were pretty short, but it didn't feel like there was any filler. And even despite the fact that it was pretty short, it still felt like a full, complete season with a full, complete narrative. Now, granted, I do wish that we got to have a little bit more episodes to flesh out a little bit more of these characters. But with the time that they had to tell the story that they did, and obviously I feel like there's going to be another season with the way it ended. And I hope there's another season with the way it ended. But they did a great job in fleshing out the whole narrative. And I want to see more. And I cannot wait to see more of these characters. Now, with that said, I'm obviously praising the show a lot. And everything's not perfect and everything. So with that said, there is one nitpick that I do have to call out. And one of the characters that they do introduce, his name is Edouard. He's also black. He's introduced with Annette as like a brother figure. And this is spoilers. I'm not going to get fully into spoilers with this review, but I did want to talk about this one part. So the character of Edouard, he gets introduced and he ends up getting killed by the vampires. And obviously, fast forward, you find out that his character is not actually dead. He gets turned into a demon by one of the priests. And so he's still alive and he actually ends up maintaining a lot of his humanity. So technically he's still alive, but his character still ends up dying. And then throughout the show, later on, you find out that Edouard is actually gay. So they take this character, this black character who's gay, and they unalive him and then kind of make him not a full prominent member of the storyline. Granted, he is a member and it plays a role in the storyline, but not as much as like Annette and Richter or even Olrox, etc. And it's just like, come, like you kill the one black man, you kill the one black male character, and he's also gay, and so he doesn't really play that much. And I'm like, come on now, like why do we got to do that? But speaking of, talking about gay characters, we do get the vampire Olrox, who is also queer, who's gay. And he also has a love interest with another character who I believe is also a person of color as well. I think he's like a, not Muslim, but he's like an Middle Eastern character. I can't think of his name. His name is Mizrak. I just looked it up. So yeah, that character. So you got two queer characters of color loving each other in a fantasy series. That's not something you see often. A lot of times, I always talk about like, yes, interracial relationships are real and that narrative and storyline and representation needs to be there. But I feel like it's an over-representation where more times than not, anytime you see any queer characters, they're always with somebody white. It's never like, you never see queer characters of color loving each other or black on black queer love. Or like in this example, you have an Aztec vampire and a Middle Eastern vampire, queer characters of color. And so that's something that I love, seeing brown queer characters loving each other, because that representation needs to be shown as well. So even though you got to see a lot of Aurochs and a lot of Mizrak, I do wish we got to see more of them together and more of their relationship. But the fact that it was there and the fact that it was represented, I appreciate that, and I want to see more of them. But yeah, Adi Shankar, who's the executive producer of he keeps doing his damn thing with regards to these animated shows, and it makes me even more excited for the Devil May Cry series that will be coming out on Netflix as well, because as a gamer, I'm a huge Devil May Cry fan, and being that they announced a Devil May Cry animated series, and I believe it's going to be with the same animation studios, I have no doubts in my mind that and it's going to be led by Adi Shankar. I have no doubts in my mind that it's going to be fire. So I'm super excited. If you haven't seen Castlevania Nocturne, I definitely recommend you check it out. But with that said, I'm gushing about this entire series and talking about how black and brown and queer it was. Well, guess what? There are people that are upset about that fact. Of course, it is a day that ends in Y, so that you can't have a day without white nonsense and racism rearing its ugly head. So because of that, you have people review bombing Castlevania Nocturne. It is currently sitting at like 53% for critic or not critic reviews, of user reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. You got people calling it Wokevania. You got people saying that they ruined the Castlevania franchise and that they're beating the show. They're beating you over the head with their slavery narrative, which they're really not at all. It's just you got black and brown characters playing a prominent role, not just in the show, but they're playing a prominent role in this fantasy franchise. And so people are upset, but screw those people, because this is a narrative and a tale that's as old as time. Because anytime you inject black, brown, and queer characters in sci-fi fantasy, especially sci-fi fantasy that's been mostly straight white men that have been leading the charge, you're always going to get some type of backlash. Just look at what happened when Finn was introduced to Star Wars, Kelly Marie Tran in Star Wars, why am I drawing a blank? But what's her face in The Hunger Games, where Amanda Stenberg, when she was introduced as Rue, and like it keeps happening time and time and time again. Anytime there's a black, or I remember a couple years ago when Jurassic World Dominion, they just released a photo of DeWanda Wise standing next to Chris Pratt. Just a photo, no synopsis, no trailer, nothing. And somebody tweeted, oh, they're ruining the Jurassic World franchise by going woke. They're going woke because there's a black woman standing next to Chris. Like, anytime somebody uses the word like Wokevania, it's just them admitting that they're racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, etc., without admitting that they're racist, sexist, homophobic. Because all they want to see is straight white men tell their narrative in their fantasy franchise. But guess what? Black people exist, queer people exist, native people exist, Asian people exist, etc. And we deserve to be in fantasy, sci-fi, etc., etc. So hashtag make it blacker, make it gayer, make it more diverse. So screw those people. But with that said, I had an incredible time watching Castlevania Nocturne. I pretty much binged the entire season in like one sitting. So with that said, that's enough about me talking about Castlevania. With that said, have you guys seen Castlevania Nocturne? What did you think about it? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, if this is your first time checking out one of my videos, I am almost hitting another milestone on this channel. I'm almost hitting 8,000 subscribers. The growth will slow down a little bit because I haven't, made a video in about a month, but now that I'm starting back up again. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, again, hit the like button. It'll help with the YouTube algorithm, getting my video out there, getting my channel out there so I can continue to grow. And if it's your first time checking out one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.